Why is China claiming the West Philippine Sea? One reason could be its rich biodiversity.
It's a battle for natural resources.
Or a battle for a legacy.
If you look at history, different dictators would like to have their own legacies.
Or it could be a reason not known to everyone.
There is deep-seated historical and identity-based claims to those islands from China's perspective.
So, why is China claiming the West Philippine Sea? A long-standing issue among its claimants, with China being the boldest one. Let us find out why. A vast body of salt water that covers approximately 71% of Earth's surface. An estimated 97% of the world's water is found in the ocean. That's why the ocean has a considerable impact on weather, temperature, and the food supply of humans and other organisms. Despite its size and impact on the lives of every organism on Earth, the ocean remains a big mystery. According to the U.S. Oceanography website, approximately 80% of the ocean remains unmapped, unexplored, unseen by humans. Although the ocean stretches endlessly, it is governed by international law designed to protect and benefit humanity.
When we speak of global commons, that is accessible to everybody. No one country should be able to control. That's why it's called global commons. Dapat accessible sa lahat. Ni isang bansa hindi dapat makapag-control ng global commons.
Despite this principle, territorial water disputes are common, leading to the establishment of international regulations.
Dalawa yung dispute eh. You have the maritime dispute and the territorial dispute. Yung maritime dispute is now governed by UNCLOS. There is the International Court of Justice, but the parties, the states who are disputing a particular island must voluntarily agree to submit it to compulsory arbitration. When it comes to maritime dispute, if you are a party to UNCLOS, you ratified UNCLOS, automatically you can be subject to compulsory arbitration. But before UNCLOS, it was governed by general principles of international law, together with the territorial dispute. Territorial dispute up to now is governed by general principles of international law.
The West Philippine Sea is one of the territorial waters that are currently subject to dispute, probably because it is one of the richest when it comes to natural resources. In one of the posts of the Philippine Air Force, it highlighted the region's abundant natural resources, particularly significant oil and natural gas reserves around Recto Bank or Reed Bank, which are crucial for the energy security of the Philippines. When it comes to biodiversity, it is also one of the richest, according to the UP Center for Integrative and Development Studies. the Philippine Space Agency or PhilSA also acknowledged the importance of the West Philippine Sea's biodiversity. The dispute in the West Philippine Sea arises from overlapping maritime claims, with the Philippines asserting its rights within the Exclusive Economic Zone or EEZ as established by the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea or UNCLOS.
In 1947, China came out with the 9-dash line map. They claimed expressly, we are claiming our territory includes the Coral Islands, that's Spratlys.
On January 22, 2013, the Philippines filed an arbitration case against the People's Republic of China under the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. The arbitration concerned the role of historic rights and the source of maritime entitlements in the South China Sea. In 2016, the UNCLOS invalidated China's basis for their claim.
Well, they claim that since 2,000 years ago, they already own the South China Sea. That is their claim, but in the arbitration at The Hague, that was debunked. The tribunal said there is no basis to claim that.
What will be the key aspect of the award, aside from invalidating China's historical claim over the West Philippine Sea? The arbitral award affirmed the Philippines' sovereign rights to resources in its exclusive economic zone and continental shelf as defined by UNCLOS. The award is considered final and legally binding on both the Philippines and China.
All countries are bound by customary international law because UNCLOS now has been ratified by almost all members of the UN. It has now become part of customary international law. Naging customary international law mismo ang UNCLOS. So, being customary international law, whether you ratified it or not, a country is bound.
It marked a significant legal victory for the Philippines, reinforcing its stance in the contested territorial waters. But China boldly refuses to recognize the arbitral ruling, insisting on its sovereign rights over the disputed islands.
UNCLOS kasi, according to China's interpretation, EECs should not interfere or should not directly interfere with the territorial claims of China. Pero dapat if I have sovereignty claims over those areas, hindi dapat siya ma-affect ng EEC. No? So yun yung framing ni China doon.
But all the rest of the world recognize the arbitral award. No? So China says everything within the 10-dash line, amen. But nobody's respecting that claim. Nobody's accepting that claim. They are accepting the arbitral award. So hindi rin ma-enforce ng China, no, ang kanilang claim under the 10-dash line because the rest of the world will not respect that, will not accept that. They're accepting the arbitral award.
Since then, China has maintained a consistent presence in the disputed territories. Despite being far from the West Philippine Sea, why is China claiming these islands?
Because they want to get for themselves the fish, oil, and gas and other resources. It's simply that. It's a battle for natural resources.
We are battling the regime that is controlling an autocratic regime, the Chinese Communist Party that would like to remain in power.
China claims the West Philippine Sea, primarily due to its abundant natural resources. However, various narratives have contributed to this long-standing dispute.
It's because if you have man-made islands, which you now have fortified and made into military bases, you could now position your ships there. They could have their supplies, fuel, weapon systems, You have airstrips for your military-grade aircraft. You have your weapon systems. You have military-grade communications and sensors. Kumbaga, pinalawak mo yung maabot ng military might mo. So that's why we wonder bakit ang daming mga PLA Navy, Coast Guard, and Maritime Militia malapit sa Pag-asa, malapit sa Ayungin Shoal, malapit sa Scarborough, is because malapit na mga base nila. Hindi na kailangang umuwi sa Hainan or sa mainland China. So it has made projection of military might easier for them. Is for global domination, to dominate the world. And to do this, they need to be able to protect their vital interest. They need to be able to have the wealth, the riches, to be able to do that. Saan kukunin ito? Sa South China Sea, West Philippine Sea. Because of the oil and gas deposits, natural resources. So by controlling that,
in terms of economy,
for the economy. With the economy, you could propel your military might. It also will help them to be able to give them strategic depth. In short, if you control South China Sea, I think roughly 65% of the world's maritime trade, $3 to $5 trillion, passes through the South China Sea, the West Philippine Sea. So when you control that with your artificial islands, in short, you could paralyze global maritime trade.
However, a professor from the University of the Philippines, Department of Political Science, who is currently studying Chinese foreign policy in China, presents a different perspective.
To be fair, kasi that's the mainstream explanation. And it's the mainstream explanation because it's easy to understand. It's easy to digest for the modern mind, no? But at the same time, I'm a fan of history and basically how nations think about themselves and their identity. May identity aspect. Naniniwala ako na may identity aspect for them.
Several historical accounts describe China's century of humiliation, a period from 1839 to 1949, during which China endured significant foreign intervention, territorial losses, and a loss of sovereignty at the hands of the powerful nations. In an article on the Council of Foreign Relations website, the long suffering of China was officially declared over with the establishment of the People's Republic of China in 1949. This became Mao Zedong's legacy, symbolizing China's resistance to foreign domination and the restoration of national pride. The said era is a central narrative in modern Chinese nationalism. According to an article on the Human Security Center website, the century of humiliation has become a driving force behind the disputes in the South China Sea.
But I also see this as China's nation building in the process, no, that have been conducted or started, no, since it established the People's Republic of China in their Mao Zedong, no, in 1949. No, that's the founding of the republic. So for them, it's really reclaiming the lost territories, no, that have been unjustly occupied or stolen from them by previous aggressors, namely Japan and other Western powers as well, right? So for China's POV, merong emotional attachment sila doon sa lost territories na yun, no? Including Taiwan, South China Sea, East China Sea, no? So these are territories that we are not occupying because we are colonizers or that we are, we want to rule and conquer the world, but we are just reclaiming what we believe is part of China as we know it, no, in our national discourse.
Certain narratives surrounding the issue suggest that Chinese President Xi Jinping wants to establish his own legacy.
If you look at history, different dictators would like to have their own legacies. Not only the West Philippine Sea for the current leader of the Chinese Communist Party, but I also believe that the Taiwan issue, that is a core interest for them.
Government Vessel 17. You are within the Philippine Territorial Sea.
In light of the escalating tensions in the West Philippine Sea, Professor Enrico Gloria believed that China is seeking a particular resolution to address the ongoing territorial disputes.
The end of the day, it's still, up to negotiations yun, from China's point of view. It's still up from, paano natin pag-uusapan yan, tayong dalawa, yung problema natin. It's not up to the rest of the world who signed, guidelines and expectations, and that will be implemented to China's 5,000 years of history. So dun siya nagkakaroon ng, I guess, hinanakit si China. So kumbaga for us, let's negotiate this, tayong dalawa lang, and then, or yung parties na talagang concerned dun sa dispute, na walang ibang nakikialam.
But from the Philippine perspective, trust should not be extended to China in a bilateral approach.
We have tried that approach back then. But the Chinese Communist Party is not a sincere partner when it comes to bilateral negotiations. Hindi sila mapapagkatiwalaan when it comes to the negotiating table. Why? That is part and parcel of their doctrine of yung sinasabi natin na the war-fighting doctrine, yung train of thought nila. When you are weak, project strength. When you are strong, show weakness. When the enemy retreats, you advance. So if you know Chinese war-fighting thought, you will be able to understand how to deal with them. Uulitin ko, hindi sila mapagkakatiwalaan.
In the recent turn of events in the disputed region, Rear Admiral Roy Vincent Trinidad, the AFP spokesperson for the West Philippine Sea, reminds us of the true essence of every Filipino's role in this issue.
Ang labang ito ay hindi lamang sa amin, hindi lamang sa atin, but ito ay sa mga susunod na henerasyon ng mga Pilipino. Kailangan buo pa rin ang ating bansa na maihahandog natin sa kanila, hindi tagpi-tagpi. Kailangan yung ating yamang dagat ay mapupunta sa atin at sa susunod na henerasyon ng Pilipino. Huwag nating lubayan ang ating panindigan at ang ating laban sa West Philippine Sea sapagkat dugo, pawis at buhay ang binuhos ng ating mga bayani upang maitayo ang ating bayan at tiyakin natin na manatiling nagwawagayway yung ating bandila, lalong-lalo na sa West Philippine Sea. Mabuhay ang Pilipinas!